Hello, welcome back. It's been a while. Today we are talking about multiplying by powers of 10. This will be our first lesson in chapter 5. So, what are powers of 10 is a good place for us to start. Powers of 10 are these numbers you see on the side. So we can go times 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 100,000, and 1 million. All of those that you see there are powers of 10, and this is why. When we multiply 1 times 10, we get 10. When we multiply 10 times 10, we get 100. 10 tens is 100. When we multiply 100 times 10, we get 1,000. When we multiply 1,000 times 10, we get 10,000. And you can probably see this pattern here kind of continues. And that's why we call these numbers the powers of 10. When we keep multiplying by these numbers by 10, we get the next one. And you can see each time 1 0 gets added. So 1 times 10, there's 1 0. 10 times 10, there's 2 zeros. 100 times 10, there's 3 zeros. 1,000 times 10, there's 4 zeros. 5 zeros, and you can see the zeros just keep adding 1 each time. And that's kind of a trick when we multiply by powers of 10 that we're going to look at now. So some of these problems we're going to look at are going to multiply by these numbers. So let's take out your paper, get your pencil out, and let's write down a few problems. We're going to try 7 times 100, and you can see 100 is one of our powers of 10. We're going to try, let's do 5 times 1,000. And let's do 6 times 10. So you can see on all of these problems, I've taken 3 of these numbers over here, 10, 100, and 1,000, to try out. So when we multiply by the powers of 10, it's kind of fun, and there's a great trick, is that you get to ignore the zeros. So on this one, I'll ignore these 2 zeros to start. 5 times 1,000, I'll ignore these 3 zeros. And 6 times 10, I'll ignore this 1 0. So kind of watch how I can do this here. Instead of going 7 times 100, in my head, I can just go, I know 7 times 1 is 7. I ignored the 2 zeros. Now, at the end, anytime you multiply by numbers with zeros at the end, you just add the zeros to the end of the answer. So I knew 7 times 1 was 7, and then I'll bring these 2 zeros to the end of my answer to make it 700. So 7 times 100 is 700. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the problem below. So watch this. 5 times 1,000. I'm going to ignore the 3 zeros and just go 5 times 1. Well, I know 5 times 1 is 5. And then just like above where I brought the 2 zeros over, this time I'm going to bring the 3 zeros to the end of my answer. So 5 times 1,000 is 5,000. And it's the same thing when we do 6 times 10, which is something we probably already have memorized. But we know 6 times 1 is 6. We bring that 1 0 to the end to make 60. So 7 times 100, 700. 5 times 1,000, 500. 6 times 10, 60. So it's really makes it easy when multiplying by these big numbers like 1,000, that really we're just thinking 5 times 1, add the zeros, or 6 times 1, add the zeros, 7 times 1, add the zeros. Let me throw a few up here on the screen for you to try. Okay, I put 3 slightly more difficult problems on the screen, but they're not too bad. We have 9 times 100,000, 3 times 1,000, and 7 times 10,000. I want you to pause the video now and give those 3 problems a shot. Okay, welcome back, and let's see how you did. So the first thing was 9 times 100,000, and remember I ignored the zeros, so I'm really just doing 9 times 1 is 9. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros that are going to follow behind my answer. And that's 9, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you should have gotten 900,000. Because if I have 9 100,000s, it's 900,000. 100,000, 200,000, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900,000. So it's interesting you're just counting by those 100,000 places. Let's look at our next one. So I do the same thing. I just should have gone 3 times 1. Ignore the zeros. 3 times 1 I know is 3. I have 3 zeros to add to the end. So I should have gotten 3,000. And my last one. Same thing again. 7 times 1. Ignore the 4 zeros. I know 7 times 1 is 7. And then bring my 4 zeros to the end of my answer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 70,000 should have been my answer. So 900,000, 3,000, 70,000 should have been our answer. Now let's look at some that are a little bit more difficult. Okay, so you can see on the screen now we have a little bit more difficult problems. 76 times 1,000, 82 times 10,000, 147 times 100. So our first digit here, our first number I should say, instead of being one digit, is 2 or 3 digits. But it really does not change the process we do at all. So watch how I solve these. 76 times 1,000. I'm going to do the same thing here, is that I'm just going to ignore the zeros. I'm going to go 76 times 1. 76 times 1 is 76. And I'll do the exact same thing and put my 3 zeros at the end. 76, 1, 2, 3 zeros. Put my comma over my 3 places. 76,000. So you can see you're solving that almost the exact way. Same way. So let's try the next one. 82 times 1, ignore the zeros. 82 times 1, any number times 1 is itself, so 82. And then I'll add the 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros to the end. 820,000. Same thing on the last one. So I'll just do 147 times 1. 147 times 1 is 147. Bring my 2 zeros to the end of the answer. Move my comma over 3. 14,700. So you see, even though the numbers are bigger, you're just multiplying them by 1 and then adding the zeros. For our last thing, I'm going to put a few of these up on the board for you and give it a try. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, and try the 3 problems on the screen, and then we'll come back and see if you got them correct.
So first we will multiply 107 times 1 to get 107. And then we're going to count the number of zeros, which we have 4. So we add that to our answer. And then we're going to add the commas. All right, for the next one, multiply 42 and 1 to get 42. And count the number of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add that to our answer and add in the commas every 3. So we get 4,200,000. All right, now we multiply 67 and 1, which is 67. And count 1, 2. Add the zeros to our solution. 6,700. And that's how you do it!